Everybody, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm with records here. And this is for Edward, ProgRockTommy. He's celebrating a milestone. I can't remember the subscriber count, but he's also holding a contest. I am a fan of Edward. I've been friends with him for several years. We talk here and there. His contest is dead simple, which is what a contest should be. Show 2 records, talk about the cover, and pick a favorite song. And if you've got a story about the album or the song, talk about it, I think is what the contest is. I'm too lazy to go and rewatch the exact rules, but I believe that's it. So the first one is their Satanic Majesties request, right? So this is, people will say this is a Sgt. Pepper ripoff album. This is my favorite Rolling Stones album. I do not think it is a ripoff, even though it does actually have, if you look in the flowers, pictures of the Beatles from Sgt. Pepper, the gatefold. But I don't think it is a ripoff album at all. I don't think it's them trying to cash in on psychedelia. I think it is a satire on that. That is the way I take the album. And of course, it's got the cool lenticular cover, the maze that you cannot solve, so don't even try. I picked this up fairly cheap, I think, on eBay because the cover is kind of scratched and the record is not in the greatest condition. Oh yeah, talk about the inner, I think he said, right? That was it. So the inner's got this cool smoke thing, which represents like the blue. So that's the inner sleeve. Very cool. Talk about a song. The song in question is Citadel. That guitar lick on it is blistering. I don't use that word very often. Blistering. I can't describe how hard that thing rocks. And it's got this great, it's hard to describe, like, you know, kind of clang sound. And then it also has, I guess, some crazy little flute part too, or is it Mellotron flute probably by Brian Jones? The song just rocks. I mean, it's crazy, mind-melting, face psych sounding, amazing. That is the song. Story about the album. So my neighbor Jessica, as a kid, we were going through her father's albums, and he had 2 albums that made an impression on me, and this was one of them. Because of the cover and the Rolling Stones, right? And the second one was Frank Zappa's Freak Out. And those little seeds lay dormant in me until I was of record buying age, where I did buy both Freak Out and this album in my teens. And they made a huge impact on me. So that is playing over at her house and seeing the album is the little story about that album. Second album is Lou Reed's live Take No Prisoners. This is recorded in SBS. That is the binaural head, where they took a literal mannequin head and put microphones in it, so that way the ears were perfectly sculptured, and they would sit that in a recording environment, and when you listen with headphones, it sounds like you're there because of the way the sound hits the ears and the head. That is what binaural sound is, and what the SBS system is. I don't think they actually really used it. I think they used it just for the crowd sounds. I think the actual live set was just a studio feed, the house feed. But anyway, the inner shows the real demented, druggy Lou Reed. Yeah, the cover art is grimy and disgusting. The sound of this is grimy and disgusting. The inner sleeve, I believe, I don't have glasses on, but these are, I think, pan reviews. I think they're not good reviews, if I recall, which is funny. Yeah. And the song in question to talk about is Walk on the Wild Side. So Walk on the Wild Side is a song about the people around Andy Warhol's factory, transvestites, drug dealers, homosexuals, all those kind of things, right? And so Lou talks about those characters that were in that scene. But on Lou Reed Live, Take No Prisoners, he almost doesn't bother singing the song. It is an 11-minute version where he is just, people call this his stand-up album, by the way, because he just talks and he talks and he goes on and goes on about his critics and how the song got started and where the title came from, and he starts cursing up a storm about things. Weird delivery. Fantastic. It's such a great... And then occasionally he'll remember to, oh yeah, I got to keep singing the song. And then he even talks about what's he's singing about the song. Oh yeah, Candy. Candy got cancer from a breast implant. You know, that's what. This album is Seek Out, and the story behind that is there's kind of two of them. So I started getting into Lou Reed after I heard the New York album that was on CD, but the older material was hard to find. You could only find it on vinyl, and the only place I could find this was in a used record store. I would go as a teen who could drive finally all over Long Island to different record stores and into Manhattan just to kind of get this material, which was not easily gotten at Tower Records. You know, it wasn't in print anymore. So I would comb and I would just drive all over, and I would listen to my tape copy of this because I just copied the album over to tape all the time when I would go on long drives. Once I had that independence, I was able to drive. I drove everywhere, and I listened to my albums on cassette dub in the car. And I remember lots of times driving to Jones Beach and just taking a really long drive, and then Ocean Parkway over to Robert Moses, and then back up, and just a big long 2-hour circle. You could do that back then because gas was $1 a gallon, and I would smoke a pack of cigarettes on the way, and maybe drink a Slurpee, and listen to my music while driving. Those are the kind of stories, and hopefully that is satisfying the entry for Edward. Edward, thank you so much for holding the contest. Congratulations again on your milestone. Thank you for being a friend. And everybody for watching. Take care.